In the early 15th century, Portugal emerged as one of Europe's leading maritime powers with great ambitions. At that time, spices such as cloves, nutmeg, and pepper were highly valuable. However, the spice routes from Southeast Asia to Europe were controlled by Arab and Venetian traders. Portugal was determined to cut off this route and gain direct control over the sources. In 1498, Portuguese sailor Vasco da Gama reached India via the sea route around the Cape of Good Hope in Africa. This success paved the way for further voyages toward spice-rich regions. King Manuel I of Portugal sent expeditions to Asia to expand power and take control over trade. In 1511, under the leadership of Afonso de Albuquerque, the Portuguese fleet attacked Malacca. Malacca, a strategically positioned port city, was the center of international trade in Southeast Asia. The Portuguese succeeded in conquering Malacca and made it a base to monitor the spice trade routes. From there, they learned of a place even richer in spices, an eastern archipelago known as Maluku, that Spice Islands. Armed with this information, in 1512, Francisco Serrao, a Portuguese captain, led an expedition to Maluku. After months of sailing, Serrao and his crew arrived in Ternate. They were welcomed by the Sultan of Ternate, who saw the Portuguese presence as an opportunity to strengthen his position against the neighboring kingdom of Tidor. The Portuguese offered protection and access to European trade in exchange for a monopoly on Ternate spices, and they were granted permission to build a fortress there. However, this relationship was not always harmonious. The Portuguese enforced a strict monopoly over the spice trade, forcing locals to sell only to them. Additionally, the Portuguese brought Catholic missionaries who tried to convert the local beliefs. These policies created tensions. The locals began to see the Portuguese as more than just trade partners, but as colonizers seeking to control their land. Meanwhile, the Portuguese grew more ambitious in controlling local politics. They began interfering in internal disputes and exploiting the situation to strengthen their grip on Ternate. Sultan Khairun, who had initially allied with the Portuguese, started to feel the detrimental effects of their monopoly and interventions. Tensions peaked in 1570 when Sultan Khairun was assassinated by the Portuguese in a peace meeting. This event triggered immense anger among the people of Ternate. Sultan Khairun's son, Sultan Baabullah, vowed to avenge his father's death. He led a fierce resistance against the Portuguese. The people of Ternate united against the foreign invaders, attacking Portuguese fortresses and bombarding their positions. After 5 years of battles, in 1575, Sultan Baabullah succeeded in expelling the Portuguese from Ternate. This was a major victory and a testament to the power of local forces against foreign invaders. Expelled from Ternate, the Portuguese tried to hold on in other regions like Ambon, but their influence began to wane. In the early 17th century, a new colonial power emerged in the Nusantara, the Dutch. Through the Verenigde Oostindische Company (VOC), the Dutch were determined to replace the Portuguese. They were better organized and had effective tactics for seizing territories. In 1605, the Dutch successfully captured Ambon from the Portuguese, marking the end of Portuguese dominance in Maluku.